the 19th district that I'm running for, and I beg your pardon, I should say, I'm Helmut Fritz, and you can tell with a name like that my parents came from somewhere else. My parents are immigrants from Eastern Europe. I was, however, born and raised here in Milwaukee. And the 19th district for the Wisconsin Assembly that I'm running for basically takes in the entire Milwaukee lakefront, from the Shorewood, which is one of our suburbs border, all the way down, including our famous Summerfest grounds, to essentially the border of St. Francis, which is our southern suburb. Of course, my eastern border would be the lakefront, and my western border, generally, this isn't totally true, but generally is the Milwaukee River flowing down to the harbor of Milwaukee and anything east of that, and then the KK River, or Kinnickinnick River, which is flowing northern usually, which is unusual in our area, flowing northern, anything east of the KK River, large. The person I'm running against is now three-termed Jonathan Brostoff. Jonathan Brostoff has actually made my job somewhat easier, I should say, because he's very tough to understand. He's encouraging insurrection. I have no better word, and I'm not trying to be mean here. He's encouraging insurrection, and even was a part of groups that attack public officials. Yes, yes. And he always bravely encourages insurrection in other districts, not in our district. I'm glad he's not encouraging insurrection in our district. I wish he would encourage insurrection in other districts either. And you know, what bothers me as a legislative office holder, and he has poli-sci degrees, I mean, he should know that there are ways to address issues in the system rather than damaging innocent individuals' properties. And usually, unfortunately, in these insurrections, it's minority members and their businesses and their homes that are being destroyed. So where's the justice here? I mean, good Lord, that really bothers me. Especially if you consider my Eastern European parents' backgrounds. And you can read a lot about this in my website, www.helmutfritzforassembly.com. Again, it's Helmut Fritz, spelled just like the sign next to me, forassembly.com. My Eastern European parents took it as an offense if we wouldn't vote. But this astonishing republic that we're part of is always changing, of course. We want it to change, always becoming more inclusive, etc. But you don't burn houses down when you have an objection. You work within the system. Yes, I'm running in a district that's overwhelmingly Democrat, but this is what I do. I mean, this is in my life right now, my career. I used to be a stockbroker. I've been involved in industrial, company-to-company sales. That was in the electronic industry. I ran radio and TV stations for a while. I've been on lots of nonprofit boards, etc., being a leader there. And I saw the vision in terms of that many of us in the Republican Party had about, hey, we need to get back to our roots, and that's on the streets. We were the party of the African American people for many, many years. I mean, that's why we were founded in Ripon, Wisconsin, just a few miles from here, to take on this abolitionist cause. And so the boards I was part of made it possible that the very office that we're in right now, which is the African American Outreach Office of the Wisconsin Party to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brownsville neighborhood here. I'm very proud to have been part of that and getting it going. And we've just had some speakers tonight from the National Party who are seeing this as a possibility throughout the nation. I'm very proud of that. And yes, I lead by example. I run in offices where people ask me, "Why are you running?" And I go, "Because we got to do this." But let me share a real personal story. I was implying about my Eastern European parents. When I was 18, and remember how smart you were when you were 18, you knew everything. I confronted my dad on this. I said, "Dad, you were in your early 20s when Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany. How could you have allowed that to happen? My God, Dad, you know?" And my dad, now remember the background he grew up in, dad was like God. He told you what would happen and you did not question. For once, my dad got quiet for a while. And then he tried to remind me about dictatorships. And I need to remind you, the full name for the Nazis of World War II was die Nationalsozialistische Arbeiterspartei Deutschlands, the National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. And he told me how a leader came to power and his only argument was this: give me absolute power and I will solve all your problems. That's Ich bin Deutschland, wir sind Deutschland, I am Germany, we are Germany, give me all the power. And he started explaining that to me, and at that time I didn't get it. But later in my life I started to go, uh-oh. And especially now as I'm looking at what is nothing more than grabs for arbitrary power under any excuse they can, I need to be able to, in justice of my now no longer living parents, I need to take a stand now. I need to lead. I need to go where people say, I'm afraid to go. I'll go there. Because I had this training. I need to be part of, here, come, follow me. I'll do it first. Once you see how it's done, you can do it after that. All the bills that were in front of Mr. Brostoff in the 6 years that he's been in office, he had so many chances to make so many positive participations in it. In almost every case, he basically voted party line, okay? The only thing of mention that can be brought up is that he's been involved in an attempt to certify deaf signers, people who sign to deaf people who can't hear. And I've not asked the industry yet, I need to, if they even seek certification through the state. But beyond that, it's basically been party politics throughout it all. If you think of all the issues that were in front of us in terms of funding, mental health, education, wider social issues, he really basically represented his party. Now, when he does vote, when you look at his voting...
Wait, can I ask you one sideways question for a second?
Sure.
If you are elected and you have the opportunity to vote against something that is party line, but that you think would be better for the community, would you consider doing that?
Yes. Let me tell you one right away that I've already have a lot of problems with my base and my caucus. I am for the legalization of marijuana in the state of Wisconsin. And my party, my caucus, and my base are very uncomfortable with that. I basically have 4 reasons. I think that the surrounding states are already involved in it, so we're having the same problem we did with alcohol about several decades ago, where we got young people running into other states to get it, and then coming back. The second, and so it makes a lot of sense just simply to legalize it because the other states around us have. I would like to remove an entire market from organized crime. We may as well get the revenue from it. I would fight to the death, though, to not allow that revenue be tied into something else, as for example Colorado did. Those are 2 different debates. And then the 4th issue is, of course, we know what's in it when it's legal. Now, yes, illegal stuff is going to mix with it, but that's happened with alcohol and continues to happen to alcohol. But that would be an example where I'd probably be crossing the aisle. And we're making coalitions within the 2. Incidentally, the Democrats have a great debate within their party on this matter as well. And one of the most important reasons I'm for the legalization of marijuana is we in the state of Wisconsin have way too many people in jail. It's an outrageous expense. In fact, the last time I did research, which is several years ago, the nonviolent low or minimum security prisoner cost us roughly $55,000 a year. The high security prisoner, we're starting at 80 something and going up from there. It is absolutely eating our state budget whole, okay? And one of the reasons this might be the major reason I want to legalize marijuana, is that we immediately expunge any and all marijuana indictments that were nonviolent. Nonviolent marijuana indictments, get them away. So that in some cases that actually is a felony. So get it away because we've now legalized it. If there's a major reason I want to legalize marijuana, it would be that one. In terms of the need for expungement, particularly the African American community is really at risk here, where many people. That's all they had. A youthful indiscretion. He needed to make some money. He was selling some pot, got nailed. Now he's in his 40s and he's still got this big F on his record. And I hate to tell you, even though it's technically illegal in some cases, the employer sees that F and that resume goes straight into the garbage. We need to end that. Oh, thank you. You'll see the 4 of my top issues on the web, but my top issue is kind of geeky, so bear with me. And I would like to require that every state agency, and if I can pull it off, also local governments, to report their financials. Their financial reality is not the best way I can say, according to generally accepted accounting principles, and that's important. I call it Wisconsin GAAP, so that stands for GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, every quarter. So I don't want pretty pictures with beautiful families in parks swinging and statements like, we made 5,000 people smile, which is your usual government agency report now. Give me the general accounting principle statements, the balance sheet, the debt statement, the income statement, where did the money go? Specifically, I want to know. You'll be able to read more about that in my website, but that's my top one. And I'm not talking about shutting anything down here. I just want to know, even more importantly than that. Now, if you're a good legislator, as I am, you need to know a lot about a lot. But a good legislator also knows when their expertise ends, and they need to have experts take a look at it. I'm not more concerned so much that I see these sheets. I want the experts to see these sheets. I want people who are specifically good at landscaping, for example. Look at the Department of Milwaukee Parks. Take a look at their sheets. And this is not an outrageous request. Every publicly traded corporation has to do this. Many NGOs, non-government organizations have to do this. I would like to have real numbers in front of us at the state of Wisconsin so that we can actually see what's happening with our tax money. That is my primary goal. Secondary goals are jobs. I particularly want to, and many of this is already in place, want to have a great push towards minority communities, but not only minority communities, in terms of getting people, not only young people, into the very different trades, that is plumbing, in the apprenticeship trades, machinists. There's a great need that's developing. So there's 2 obvious here. There's a big job market open for people who need jobs, and a great need that where we can mesh these 2 at everybody's best interest. Those would be my 2 tops. That we can agree on a series of issues. I'm sure that jobs is one. The other one is one of my top priorities is I will attempt to get on as many committees as I can that focus on transportation. I'm going to be interested in the Milwaukee area. I would like to work with Tim about getting some like, for example, this is I think a no-brainer in terms of getting the Chicago local trains, the Metro, up into the Milwaukee area. We don't have to build new rail lines. We can use existing rail lines. It would be relatively cheap. I mean, relatively in terms of government programs. I think Mr. Rogers and I would. I had a hard time saying that. Mr. Rogers and I would have a lot of same direction efforts. I'm gonna presume. I could only speculate on that. She's not known to be a negotiator with the other side of the party. However, I'll certainly make every effort I can, which also realistically is the case with Mr. Evers. Yes, I beg your pardon. Who also is not known to negotiate with party. But if it becomes mutually beneficial, I'm presuming we're all going to be able to work out stuff, especially when we're focused on the city of Milwaukee. Be that gap program. I think, and there I'm going to need to bear with me a quick story. I have a friend who's a member of the clergy who was part of the board that was attempting to reconstruct things after the Sherman Park riots, if you remember, here in Milwaukee. And the, the, the conversation of a lot of the community leaders there was, we need this and this cause here or that cause here funded by the state. The strange thing that happened, there were representatives of then Governor Walker in that meeting with a bunch of clergy and a bunch of activists, community activists. And the activists would say something like this. Now again, I'm quoting the clergy member. I'm not free to share you what that member's name is. But we need art in the park. And the state representatives would go, we already got an art in the park organization. And the activists go, really? Yeah, here's their office. We give them, $500,000. I'm making those figures up, of course, every year to do art in the park. Well, how come we don't know about them? Well, we don't know. Well, here they are. And the clergy member actually said it was almost embarrassing after a while because we need sports in the park. Well, there is a sports in the park organization. We give them $1 million or whatever, and
right.
Here's their address. And that's my point. The state people. The people in the people in Wisconsin, and for my interest specifically in the 19th district, are open-handed. We really do believe in helping where it's useful. But what ends up happening is time after time, the millions we give to causes, often not a single nickel actually makes it where it should go. That's why I really believe in that gap program that I said. That would be my top wish list. So we can actually look at that agency and say, look, we see that you generated a lot of beautiful PowerPoint presentations, but did you actually help the people? My family, I'm unfortunately divorced. I'm single, but I've got 4 adult children. 2 of them are married. I'm very proud of them. All 4 are very accomplished in what they're doing. 1 son, my oldest is a son, and 3 daughters. They are my treasures in life. I mean, there's nothing obviously more worth to them. I try to be involved in their lives as much as I can. Some of them don't agree with me politically. And guess what? We have very adult conversations. And some of them are very much supporters. In fact, one of my major supporters is one of my daughters. Yes, very much so. Yes, it's a basic building block.
Religious values also?
Excuse me?
Religious values also?
Yes, I'm a very religious guy. I'm very involved have been in leadership of my church, etc. I have a wide spectrum of friends and a wide spectrum of religions. Not too long ago, I went with my dear friend A.B. Eisenbach to his synagogue, which my mother, possibly we have roots through my mother in Eastern Europe, through the Jewish faith. I have dear friends in a wide spectrum of faiths, and we have fun conversations. I'm thinking of several of my Islamic friends. We'll sit up all night over coffee debating issues, and still we're dear friends. We may disagree, but we're dear friends. I'm probably going to be more website related, but I'll have a lot of people giving me good advice, including within the Republican Party and dear friends, including one of my own children who's very much involved in that industry. Right now, I'm guessing mine is going to be more website based with some kind of interactive format there. I'm very interested in finding experts within my constituency in a wide spectrum of areas. I can see, for example, one area that I'm going to need a lot of help is the whole mental health discussion and debate, but a wide spectrum of other areas where I will definitely be looking for experts and try to give them formats where it's easy for them to contact me.
Are they receptive?
Yes, people ask. I'm asked that a lot. What do you think's going on? And I really have no way to guess. I'd hate to be a pollster right now. I think the pollsters are often coming, not always, but often coming from a technology that's landline based. A lot of us no longer answer surveys. I'd hate to be one. I've met a lot of people who say they're supporting me. I've met a couple people who said they didn't. In fact, the other day I met a lady who said I voted for the other guy. I mean, so I have no way of guessing. I think these elections have made a lot of things what I'll call solidly cast in jello. We have no idea. I do think the very overwhelming Democrat registration of the 19th district will play against me, but I'm going to argue that perhaps a lot of that is actually independent vote with very little choices in the Republican area, so they come across as Democrats. We'll see in a few days if my guess is correct.
Just want to take a second to say thank you, because I know you were on your way out the door and you have a lot to do, and this is something that I've said before, that all the candidates around here, including Mr. Fritz, who I've spoken to a couple times before, are very good with their time and very good with talking to people, and I think a lot of us appreciate that a lot, so let me say thank you for that. Is there anything you want to add?
I think that's, and I can speak for a lot of the state level candidates in this area, Ozell Cox, Orlando Owens, Adia Eisenbach, among others. That's because our principle is one of rule of law, which basically means the elected person is a servant, not the people serving the elected person. So that makes us very much open. I've had conversations late at night because someone called me and they really needed answers. I think that's the principle that drives us and makes us much more available to the public than our opposition. Very right. I plan on that. I've been on nonprofit boards and things like that at great sacrifice because that's my attitude. It's part of my religion that I'm required to be engaged and as valuable to the people around me as possible.
All right. Thank you very much.